here. Happy Friday. Breaking down some stacking options on tonight's slate. Really fun, full 13-game slate. You got Coors here. You got Derek Holland in Coors, which we'll talk about a Colorado stack here, obviously, there. Really strong pitching, but also some really strong options and kind of to go with elsewhere and cheap, so you'll be able to fit some big stacks in and still get some good stacking options. So this is going to be a fun one, a fun slate. I expect it to be very high scoring as usual, especially this time of year. But, looking at what stacks you want to target first, we'll take a look at the Yankees. Junior Guerra kind of flashing his true colors. This guy was starting to be due for the blow-ups, and, we started to see it. He hasn't gone over 4 innings in each of his last 2 starts. He had 7 strikeouts against the Marlins, but he allowed 11 base runners. He's allowed 5 home runs over the last 2 starts. 22 base runners, so 12 earned runs. The Yankees offense isn't really clicking on all cylinders right now, but this is a good spot, especially back at home, to get back on track. They have a run total that's, rivaling Colorado tonight, and I think this is going to be probably the first place that people look outside of Colorado. But you look at Guerra, he's pretty much a fastball splitter pitcher. 368 wOBA to lefties, 376 wOBA to lefties, 368 wOBA to righties. Had a hard time getting that one out, but that's what he allows. Ground ball rate's been a little bit lower this year. You look at Brett Gardner, this guy's hit better at home. The power is much better, but against righties, 368 wOBA, 218 ISO. Aaron Judge, 448 wOBA, 349 ISO. Obviously, Gary Sanchez, 400 wOBA, 244. But then you get guys like, Jacoby Ellsbury, good fastball hitter. I don't mind him tonight. Didi Gregorius, Clint Frazier's got some pop if he's in second. But you look at Gregorius, he's probably going to be hitting 4th or 5th. 344 wOBA, 205 ISO. I don't mind him tonight. So, a decent stack. It's still on the expensive side, but like I said, you're going to be able to fit some bats in. Those guys just do have a lot of potential that you can really look at. So, I'm certainly intrigued. Looking at Texas here tonight, Nolasco's been a guy that people have been frustrating stacking against, for the most part. And going into Texas this time of year, it's just insanely tough for guys to pitch well. It's up over 90s. Warm balls are just allowed the ball to carry. Coming off Nolasco's last 2 starts, I could see this be kind of one where, he gets rattled around a little bit. Last time he faced Texas, 5 innings, gave up 8 hits, a lot of 5 earned runs, 2 homers. This guy is certainly still not all of a sudden just a good pitcher in 2 starts. You can fire way up against him. 381 wOBA to righties, that's kind of where I'm looking at more here. So he hasn't been bad against lefties, but he still gives up the long ball to left-handers. 204 ISO allowed, but a 313 wOBA, so it's a little bit more boomer bust with some of these left-handers. It's a guy who, throws more of his off-speed stuff, the slider, the splitter quite a bit more. He's a pretty predominant slider pitcher, throwing it about 30% of the time. So, looking at some of these guys, Elvis Andrus is an interesting bat tonight, so I don't mind him from the right side. But, I'll be looking at kind of guys like Beltre, Andrus, Carlos Gomez, and then kind of picking my spots with Chu or Odor, Mazzara. Odor's, heating up a little bit. He's not a bad slider hitter either. And you're looking kind of at what he does and, the way everything profiles, it kind of matches up. So I don't mind him on this slate. So Texas is an intriguing stack, 5.5 run total there at home where they've, been better over the past. So I like the upside out of them. A spot that I'm intrigued with in terms of a contrarian spot tonight, and that's Minnesota. Felix Jorge, you look at Kevin Gausman. Gausman necessarily hasn't been bad over his last few starts, but over the larger sample size, he hasn't been good either this year. But I think even on both sides of this game, I could see kind of using. But Gausman, 378 wOBA to right-handers, 341 to lefties. Once again, Dozier, Grossman, Sano, Kepler are in play as a stack. Baltimore on the other side is an interesting one because you're getting a young pitcher, inexperienced. From what he shows so far, and even the minors, I can see targeting away and using a Baltimore stack here with their upside. You still look at some of these guys, Machado 190 ISO, Scope 232 ISO, Adam Jones 180, Trumbo 180 ISO, Mancini 261, Wellington Castillo even 180 ISO against righty. So these guys are in play for me. I like the stack. I think it's going to be contrarian on this slate. They're cheap. once again, you're getting most of these guys under 4K on DraftKings. And most of them under 3,600 on FanDuel. So Scope's your most expensive option in this lineup right now because he's been the more consistent guy. But overall, I think this is a good game to stack. I think it's going to be contrarian. I don't think people are going to be driving a lot of ownership into this game with just kind of the other options on the board here. So very much in play for me. Looking at Colorado, we'll get around to it here. This is one where they kind of just give it to you. I mean, between the pitching options that are cheap tonight, between the fact that DJ LeMahieu, Nolan Arenado, Mark Reynolds, Trevor Story are not that expensive in terms of a complete stack. Reynolds, LeMahieu, Trevor Story are all cheaply priced. Blackman, Arenado are more expensive guys, but it's not like you're paying all over 5K price tag on DraftKings to get them in. FanDuel, they're obviously priced up more appropriately. So it's not quite the value, but obviously against Holland, who, 381 WOBA to righties this year, really low ground ball rate in cores. LeMahieu, not known for tremendous power, but over 400 WOBA against lefties. Arenado has been rock solid against left-handers, 519 WOBA, 391 ISO. Then you look at Story. I mean, he has some power against lefties. Yeah, he strikes out a ton. Mark Reynolds hasn't been great against lefties this year, surprisingly, but against Holland, who's just giving it up to righties, I'll go with him. So Colorado's kind of that usual prototypical stack that you're going to be looking at. Usually I'll target on the other side of things, but I don't know. I mean, you can look at Abreu, Garcia, Frazier, Melky Cabrera. They're in play for me, but I think I'm just kind of using them more as one-offs or two-offs. I don't know how much I'll really be stacking them tonight. Last stack of the night, they'll be talking about looking at the Dodgers. Jason Hamill, this guy's been pretty neutral against both sides of the plate. 337 WOBA to righties, 329 WOBA to lefties. Really, he's a low ground ball guy, fly ball pitcher, allowing a decent line drive rate. The Seager, Turner, Bellinger, Jock, Grandal kind of stack is also intriguing. You look at the lefty bats here, collected 349 WOBA, 234 ISO. They always have that pop and that power. Once again, it's a fairly warm night out there in LA too. It's up over in the 80s. So, balls start to fly. They have a 5.5 run total. They should be overlooked a little bit. Once again, the Dodgers still carry obviously some of that name potential, so they'll still kind of garner some ownership, but it's not going to be as high as cores. I think Arizona is still going to get some ownership. They're a good stack at home. Bullock back, Peralta, Goldschmidt, Lamb. I've talked about them so much this year. I'm kind of burned out on it, but at home against Tim Adelman, I can certainly see them going off. Cincinnati bullpen isn't that good either, so Arizona is also the stack, but they've been kind of pretty obvious at home, kind of like how Coors has been this year. So definitely don't mind those guys. That's going to wrap it up for me. Pretty much all the stacks that I'll be looking at tonight. I mean, Washington, I know they're facing R.A. Dickey. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those ones where I don't know if I'm going one-offs. It's just kind of all or nothing stack. I don't know if I rank them ahead of the stacks that I mentioned. So if you're building multiple apps, Washington's also in play. That's going to wrap it up. You can go to DaveFantasyCafe.com, check out array tools and content.